So let's talk about what's going on with Trevor Bauer. There's no baseball game. There was no baseball game last night in the Yankees, so there was no recap. But I want to talk about this because this is a situation that's kind of blowing up now. And it's getting serious, more serious by the day. And it should be because it's a very serious situation. For those of you who may not have heard, but I'm guessing most of you have, Trevor Bauer has been accused of sexually assaulting a 27-year-old woman recently. Now, he's calling it consensual sex twice, but there's apparently physical evidence on her, out of marks or whatever it is, that's linking him to this situation. Now, that's serious in itself. So MLB is, investigating it. They placed him on 7-day administrative leave with full pay. He's protected by the union, so no matter what, he's going to get fully paid right now. If they need more time, then they have to actually go to the MLB Players Union and apply for it or ask for it. And there's no guarantee they're going to say yes, but I'm going to guess it's probably a really bad look if they don't. And the police on their end are criminally investigating this as well, because the sexual assault, there's all kinds of layers of that can create serious problems, obviously. And it can be really, really bad for Trevor Bauer. I was already disappointed with the Dodgers for not coming out and speaking out against this. No players and no coaches. Nobody really came up and spoke up and said this how bad it was. I was happy. I wasn't happy that the Domingo Germán situation, but I was happy that some of the players came out and spoke out against this, which forced him to not only publicly apologize to the woman he beat in public, and I don't condone that either. Okay, but he had to make it right to a lot of people, and I'm not exactly sure he's still there yet, and I'm not surprised if he's not. But he served an 80-game suspension without pay, obviously, and he had to apologize to her publicly. He had to apologize to his teammates, and he had to deal with a couple of them individually. And I was happy that they spoke out against this, and I'm disappointed that the Dodgers didn't do that, at least to my knowledge. But that said, it's still an ugly situation. Now, keep in mind, the Domingo Germán situation, he beat a woman in public, or his wife. Terrible, okay? And he was seen doing it by I think an MLB representative, which made it even worse for him and for him. The sexual assault is a whole different story, because now you're talking about these different words that can really create really bad problems, okay? And now it's also awful no matter what. So my guess is at the end of the day, he's probably going to wind up being suspended. I don't know for how long, but a suspension for that type of conduct has got to be without pay. Now, he's on a 3-year deal with the Dodgers. If I had my option, if I owned the Dodgers, I would get rid of him. Void his contract. There has to be a clause where you can void his contract if he becomes suspended for that type of activity, especially if the cops are going to criminally charge or whatever it is, or who knows. But if I owned the Dodgers and I had the chance, I would void his contract immediately. No excuses. Okay? Because if this happened to an everyday Joe, he would be in jail already. He'd be under the jail. Okay? Waiting to be sentenced to more jail or whatever it is. So just because he's a major league ball player and he's union protected doesn't make him better or more important. So this is a serious situation one way or another. So, and I don't want to make light of any of it because it's serious. Very, very, very serious. And it's terrible. But this creates a different dynamic for the Dodgers too. And for folks that may not have thought about this side, if he gets to get suspended without pay, it just opens up $15 million in salary cap room for the Dodgers. Okay? That they didn't have before. And they have money coming off the next couple of years as well. This could blow up the entire MLB trading deadline. The entire thing. Because as teams, not only in the National League West, the Padres and the Giants, and just the National League altogether, and in the American League, obviously, who are looking for top-flying starting pitchers. And whether it's Luis Castillo or Germán Marquez or guys like that, okay? And Max Scherzer. Could you imagine now Max Scherzer coming to the Dodgers? Now, they're replacing Bauer temporarily with Brusdar Graterol, young starter, but he's not Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer is actually 8-5 with a 2.55 ERA, so he's having a good year. And so they're going to want to do something. This creates an opportunity for them, and I hate that the opportunity was created this way, but it does create an opening for them to replace him or do something else that they might need to do. And I would keep that in mind, because it could blow up everybody else's plans now. The teams in the division, teams in the American League, it could force them to either overpay for a starter that they thought they might get at a reasonable price. And all those guys I mentioned are going to cost a boatload anyway, but it might force them to overpay me, create a bidding war. Friedman over there at the Dodgers is very good at not only getting his people, but getting other teams to kind of overpay as well. So, and coming from Tampa too, Tampa was always good at that as well against their American League opponents. Very thrifty, very smart people over there. So this can create a whole different trading deadline. I'm going to keep an eye on this and see what happens, and I'll of course keep you all updated on what goes on here. But you have that that terrible dynamic in the criminal component, and then you have this other one that I don't know if anybody's thinking about it, and it creates a whole nother dynamic and a potential ripple effect at the trading deadline because of this stupid Trevor Bauer behavior, this terrible Trevor Bauer behavior, and teams that you might now that I'm confident in saying this too. Now that Ketel Marte was just the Diamondbacks said they're probably not going to move him now. Well, now that you have the Dodgers in the mix with more money, I'm guessing that teams that thought they were going to maybe take their players off the market for the deadline might be putting them back on now because they can get prospects from a team like the Dodgers who they might not have been able to get before. For a Scherzer, for a Ketel Marte, for whatever, for an Adam Frazier, right? For Luis Castillo, for Herman Marquez, that's the thing. So that's the other component to this that can just create chaos over the next couple of weeks. Now I think once we have a better idea on what this Bauer situation is going to be, it'll be a little bit solidified. And I'm keeping tabs on what's going on with all the teams anyway, moves and corresponding moves and trades and other things and injuries to see, because I'm going to do my MLB trade deadline predictions video. But it's constantly evolving because players are getting hurt, being traded, being moved, being brought up, being brought down, and it's kind of I'm constantly having to update my trade deadline predictions. And now hearing that the A's might not be pursuing Trevor Story, that could be a bluff too. It could very well be a bluff, but I don't see why they wouldn't pursue him. But because especially if they're going for it this year. But that said, we'll see what happens there. So I'm constantly updating my trade deadline predictions for when I do my video, which will come out a few days before the deadline. But this whole Dodgers situation can change the landscape for probably half a dozen teams, or maybe even more than that, which is significant. And I had originally thought that some big moves are going to be made, and I still think there will be some, but I think it's going to be more of the kind of second-tier guys that are going to be moved before the elite players, and that might be all. But now that the Dodgers are in the fold and potentially having extra money, and with Trevor Bauer being out, it makes these other starting pitchers that much more appealing, meaning a team can extract a bigger package than they would have been able to extract before. So, a whole new drama here. Whole new drama. Now, I hope that if it turns out to have been true and all that's whatever evidence comes out and he winds up being guilty, I hope the lady gets her justice. He should be held fully accountable, no matter what. Okay, and I really hope that I hope she's okay, and I hope that she can move on from this. So, but on the baseball side, it's going to be utter chaos if that happens. If he's suspended without pay, in my opinion. So I'll keep you updated on that. And, I appreciate you guys watching always. If the Yankee game happens tonight, there's no guarantee because it looks like New York's going to rain all weekend in New York. So if it happens tonight, I'll be doing a recap. It's supposed to be a doubleheader tomorrow on Sunday and to make up with the Friday missed game. So either way, I'll be doing recaps and I'll keep you updated. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.